Good evening, friends. This is Alter Ego, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we are gonna review this book called Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. This is a non-fiction book of around 200 pages. This I read around 2019. It's uh, so let's dive into the book. This basically is a non-fiction, as the title says, Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It talks about a concept that we should have very less fucks to give. Basically, through fucks, he tells that there are very few things that we should give our total attention to. He talks about that we have very less things. There should be less things on our plate so that we can eat more of those things. He talks the subtle art of not giving a fuck through lots of concepts. The first concept he talks about is the backwards law. He says that the thing we don't give a fuck about actually helps us in a paradoxical way. What does it mean by that? Is the law of backwards means if you don't care about a thing, it actually goes inside your daily routine activity subconsciously, and you're actually good at it. He talks through a way in which, for example, a person who plays basketball very well, but and he puts the ball in the basket very well, so if he is ordered to do it in front of thousands of people, he may get conscious of that. Now, before that, the person was unconscious of it, and he could very well do that. But after we make him conscious, he gets bit he gets bit rational about that thought, and isn't able to put it. So he talks about in everyday life how you can use this law in your daily routine. Like, if you give a fuck about a lot of things, then you're not actually doing a lot in your life. If you give, for example, if there is an old woman who is fighting in a supermarket for some $50 or some $10, so there is a point that she doesn't have anything better to do in her life. It talks in that way. Now, reading this book, I did not really enjoy that book because it is a very icy book, and it gave me a lot of nihilistic thought. But it has some deep messages. The second important thing about this book is there is he talks about happiness. He says happiness is a form of action. It is not an activity. It is an activity, sorry. Happiness is a form of action, and it is an activity. He doesn't tell that happiness happens. I'm sorry, I need to correct myself. He says that happiness is a form of action, and it is an activity which comes through a lot of hard work. It's not a state, it's not a thing you get. It is while doing the thing, while performing the journey, you are in that state. That's how we deal with the concept of happiness. Now, he says that we need that the problems are not gonna end, the problems are not gonna go away, things are going to get difficult and difficult. So he talks about that you should be in a state of continuous self-improvement, and you should be willing to accept it. He talks through a proverb, a statement, an axiom from the movie and the comics of the Spider-Man, in which Uncle Ben says, with great power comes great responsibility. Now he reverses the thought as with great responsibility comes great power. He says that if you take responsibility in your own hands, you are able to control a lot of power. Once you take the charge of your own life in your own hands, then you get responsible for everything. He talks to an example. For example, if a newborn baby is left on your door, how do you confront it? You have no choice. So you can't blame anyone. But the choice is yours. What to do with it? Keep it, throw it away, call the police or whatever. You get to interpret the story. You are responsible. You don't get to choose what happens to you, but you get the responsibility what to do with that thing. So it's one of the powerful axioms from the book which I love. With great responsibility comes great power. He also talks about a concept called fault is the past tense and responsibility is the present tense. He he says that victim mindset is very common in today's century. Even the rich suffers from it, and even the poor. And he says blaming game is too addictive these days. And talking about this, outraging about one struggle is nothing but an outrage porn which doesn't help anybody. He says talking about faults and the problems he faced is in the past. We cannot confront it in the present. But taking the responsibility of it helps us coming back to the present time and helps us to dig the present moment more. Now he also talks about the famous quote from Star Wars, which I like do or do not, there is no try. But he manipulates the quote very well. Do or do not, there is no how. He says, just do it. You don't need to ask how to do, how to steps. He says, while the process, learn the steps. Ask stupid questions so that you may learn through it. Now, he also talks about relationship issues and he says that freedom is in commitment rather than engaging with thousands of people. He says that freedom comes from committing to one person so that we can acquire multiple virtues over the period of time by living with the one person, by opening up to one person. Well, I was I couldn't agree more. I completely agree with the author on this point that freedom is through commitment. He not through commitment in relationship, by committing to any project you have been waiting to do since a long time. By committing to that one particular project, you can give a fuck only about that, and rather than not giving a fuck about a lot of things, you can help to complete the project in time. Now he ends the book by a concept by a psychologist named Becker. He calls that as immortality projects. He says that in the person there are basically two selves. One is the body, and second is the person who wants to live immortal. He says that all the meaning in one's life is derived from an intimate desire to never truly die. He says that everything in the life we see, like whatever you can see, like a cup, a ball, a bottle, a book, everything was once a crystallized thought inside one's head. Over the time, the man manifested it into reality, and now even if the person doesn't exist, but the invention or the idea of that person exists. So the interest of a person, the importance of ego to live even after death is totally fulfilled after once you create a project. He talks about life is all about that, to create something that never truly dies. You need to find something in your life that you need to create all the time. What pain you really want to suffer to create it. And by doing it over the time, you create something beautiful and which lives by. And even after death, it gives your life meaning. It helps you to stay fulfilled inside your own life. I would say this is the basically the core message of the book is to create something that you really give a fuck about, to really dip yourself inside that you truly desire. Like the person, Mark Manson, I feel had a lot of existential crisis in his life. Even though I did not enjoy the book most, his nihilistic attitude is I feel is borrowed from a famous poet called Charles Bukowski. So I would like to quote from him: "Find what you love, find what you love, and let it kill you. Find what you love and let it kill you." That should be the thing. That should be your desire. It should be so strong that even if it kills you, you don't really care. You are so much in love with that thing. Thank you so much for listening to this review. If you like my channel, if you like my content, I would love to see you next time. Let's review next philosophy in our next video. Please like and subscribe my channel and share it if you like it. We'll meet next time. Alter ego.